News was told that while the issue of supposed muting of mic was raised at the last broadcasting committee meeting, there was no conclusion and the matter was expected to be raised again when next the committee meets. Well, all eyes will be on the Parliament today as the Finance Minister presents the mid-year budget review. With the presentation just hours away, pressure is mounting on all sides. The opposition, nurses and business groups are demanding answers on jobs, wages and spending. President of the National Nurses Association of Trinidad and Tobago, Edie Stewart, says healthcare workers employed by the regional health authorities have gone more than a decade without a salary increase, and he wants the finance minister to provide a clear timeline for wage adjustments.
A simple statement from the Minister of Finance indicating when healthcare workers who are employed with the regional health authorities would receive a salary increase, and also how it will be determined.
In sport, the New York Knicks are NBA champions for the first time in more than 5 decades after defeating the San Antonio Spurs 94-90 in Game 5 of the NBA Finals on Saturday night. Playing on the road, the Knicks held their nerve in a tense contest to close out the series 4-1 and capture their first NBA title since 1973. The victory sparked wild celebrations among Knicks fans as one of the NBA's most storied franchises finally ended a 53-year championship drought. For San Antonio, the defeat ends an impressive playoff run, but the future remains bright for the young Spurs squad. Well, stay tuned for another news update at the top of the hour and for comprehensive coverage in our midday newscast and our major newscast at 7 p.m. on CNC3.
Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. Walking into your Monday, our day of serious business, and that day where we go through the mid-year budget review. We start the analysis bright and early here via the Morning Brew. Again, good morning to you and yours. Sit back, relax. It's going to be an action-packed day from now straight into the mid-year budget review that starts around 10:30 thereabout, and then our, well, I would say delayed midday newscast. Then into the meat of it this evening from 7 p.m., a shortened version of the 7 p.m. newscast, straight into Ryan Bechu's segment from 7:30. I'll give you some of the major top talking heads, the personalities who would join Ryan for that analysis later on this evening. It's gain or strain? That's the question. And we will start the process bright and early right here via the Morning Brew with yours truly, Jason Williams. It's always a joy to be in your company. Let's get the ball rolling. Before we treat with the mid-year budget review and go through some of the talking points and what we anticipate will be delivered today, we must, as per usual, go through our news cycle and let's see what's happening on the front page of the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian. You seeing some World Cup fever here? Let's start on a good footing this morning. Yesterday, lots of folks made their way in and around the country to their favorite watering hole, their favorite restaurant, the liming spot. Of course, many, just like me, would have enjoyed the game at home. And what a game it was, that Germany-Curacao game. Our Caribbean brothers and sisters making their debut, the smallest country to ever feature at the World Cup. We had that title back in 2006. Then Iceland made it to the World Cup a couple of years after, and they took the title from us, and then Curacao took that title from Iceland. So yes, with their small population, they were going up against the mighty Germans, former champions of this tournament, football pedigree, leaps and bounds. And I must say, for a certain point of the game, especially when Curaçao scored their historic first ever goal at a World Cup, many thought, wait now, could this be some kind of, big upset? Could this be a draw? Could Curaçao hold on? Well, it's hard to say that was not the case for our brothers and sisters from Curaçao. They received 7 of the very best, but still a good showing. They were brave. They went out there to fight. But again, Gulf in class. It's a different pedigree. And congratulations there to Germany also. Some big wins yesterday. A big win last night, actually, for the Ivory Coast, and a beautiful draw between Holland and Japan. The football is in full swing. We got some details later on concerning the games for today. Another big story here, and this one I won't stay too long because we want to treat with the budget this morning, mid-year budget review, but I'm sure during the week we'll get a chance, especially when we open the lines, to ventilate this most unfortunate happening at the Parliament. We were hearing shouting back and forth, a full fish market behavior we saw last week Friday at the Parliament, or in the Parliament. And coming out of that, we are not biased. Parliamentary staff deny claims of deliberately muting MP's microphone following allegations made by the leader of government business. If you want to read more, it's on page 5. We will treat with that, I'm sure, if not tomorrow, Wednesday, sometime later in the week. Aircraft goes missing between St. Vincent and the Grenadines and Tobago. The search is still going on. Apparently, there's a particular mechanism to track all aircraft, especially the big aircrafts. You can't take it off with the big aircrafts, but apparently you could take it off with the smaller aircrafts, and it, for some reason, went off. So the officials in Trinidad, the officials in St. Vincent, nobody at this point in time got a clue as to where this plane is located, if it's in the sea, if it's somewhere else. That particular development, that mystery, is still ongoing. And if you want to read more, you can check out page 4. As it pertains to the budget, well, today we are seeing here via the front page and via our analysis momentarily, we will get a chance to speak with a couple of major personalities. The likes of Mariano Brown will join us. Edie Stewart from the Nurses Association. We got representation from Tobago via their chamber president, President Williams. And of course, as per usual, a chance for me to ask the questions, get some perspective, and really dig deeper into what is indeed a very important day, this mid-year budget review. And not to leave out any one of the major sectors, we want to hear from Victor, who represents the Artists Coalition of TNT, pertaining to this budget and its impact on creatives, people in film, dance, music, the artisans, those really in that cultural space. We will get that perspective later on. But as it pertains to the mid-year budget review, and you could get more on page 6, stakeholders, I thank you. They're looking on with bated breath for this mid-year budget review. It's happening today in the lower house, Monday, 15th June, and stakeholders are asking some serious questions. And let me tell you who some of the stakeholders are. We're hearing some questions here from the former minister in the Ministry of Finance and San Fernando East MP Brian Manning. He's asking some questions. Questions from the Nurses Association President Edie Stewart, who joins me this morning. He's coming on after 7. Nurses seek a salary roadmap. CWU, they're asking some questions also. That's the Communication Workers Union and their General Secretary. We are seeing some questions from the Chamber, the Trinidad and Tobago Chamber of Industry and Commerce. They're putting in some recommendations. And we're hearing also some questions from the TNT, Trinidad and Tobago Police Service Social Welfare Association. And I'm seeing the service station owner dealers also. So everyone, and especially those in business, big business, they're waiting to hear what's going on. Is it going to be a gain or strain as we have come to the halfway point of the 2026 budget. Now, of course, the 27 forecast will happen months from now, but every year, around midway, there is that review, and that's the analysis, and that's the bulk of what we're going to treat with today via CNC3. Again, it starts around 10:30 thereabout. We'll go to that live. Then we'll get into our delayed, I would say, we're not too sure how long the finance minister will be on his feet, but normally the 12 noon newscast will come at 12 noon. It's going to come obviously sometime in the afternoon. We will be on time with our 7 p.m. newscast. And from 7:30, Ryan Brew, my colleague, he steps into the hot seat to treat with a very important conversation. And the likes of Diane Haddad will join him, businesswoman. Dr. Ronald Ramkisoon, that's right, Dr. Ronald Ramkisoon, economist, will also be in the conversation. Another economist by the name of Dr. Jamelia Harris will step in to give some perspective. And to round things off, Gregory Maguire, energy specialist. That's happening today, right here on CNC3 from 7:30 p.m. Well, it's some football action, and yes, Curacao, they received 7, and this picture tells the story. This was the header somewhere, I think, in the first half when they were up. Actually, it was 1-1 at that point. The header came in, it was 2-1, and right before the half, they gave up a penalty, and it went to 3-1, and well, the rest was over in the second half. Hard luck, Curacao. But still, you all were able to celebrate a goal, and you all got a moment to just release and to really just stick it to the Germans, even if it lasted for a couple of minutes. Well done, Curacao. We are proud of you. Hard luck also to Haiti. Haiti, our next Caribbean brother and sister, our neighbors. Well, not immediate neighbors, but they wash by the same Caribbean Sea. They also stepped out for the first time in many, many years, in 50-plus years. Their last appearance would have been 74. And they lost. Very shaky, lots of shaky calls. I don't know what was going on with that referee. But Haiti, good showing of themselves, strong team, just not clinical in the final third, and they were not able to score. We head to the brief on this Monday morning. I didn't even get to talk about the West Indies, the stumbler. For the cricket fans, you'll read up all about that on the sports page. So I'm seeing here, blazing a tribute. A flame blower from Los Ciro performs during a candlelight vigil for 12-year-old Mercedes Lane on Saturday. From what I saw, lots came out from all over Los Ciro, Erin, Los Bajo, Buenos Aires, Rancho Camado, Palo Seco, Santa Flora, many from the Southwest. They took some time to come out and just show that solidarity and support and give the family a strength in this most tumultuous time. Really hard time for the family, the Cabreras and the Lanes family. And we sure will get more details this week as to the final rites, the final send-off for Mercedes. And that in itself too will be, I'm sure, a massive attendance as everyone tries to really give the family that collective hug and support as they go through this most, as mentioned, tumultuous and tough time. And I'm seeing also where the big awards, right? Of course, the Anthony M. N. Sabga Awards took place over the weekend. I'm seeing here in Georgetown, Guyana. And of course, many would have been celebrated. More details here via the brief on this Monday morning. So it's gain or strain? That's the question, and that's the review, and that's where we're going to take you for most of the Morning Brew installment. But before we get to that discussion, and before we get to Mariano Brown, who will start us off, let's treat with our boss report. That's next. Sarud, he steps in, and we stay within the realm of money and finances and the movement and you know, the movers and shakers. That discussion up next. Your boss report. Stand by.
Low energy? Heart concerns? Migraines slowing you down? It's time to take control of your health. Join Wellness Unlocked, the series that brings expert advice and real solutions for a healthier you. In our latest episode, learn how Jameson CoQ10 can help support heart health, boost energy, and even reduce migraines. Get the science, the stories, and the steps to power up your health with CoQ10. Don't miss Wellness Unlocked. Watch now on CNC3 and start your wellness journey today.
Treat Dad like a king this Father's Day with a gift from PRW. Get a Samsung 75-inch TV, only $8,535. PS5 console game, only $4,800. Samsung A9 tablet, $1,199. JBL soundbar, $1,968. Printers from $650. Blenori Drome X60, only $786. Party speaker box, $2,500. Call PRW today.
Discover the taste of tradition with Fine Choice Meats. Our products are made with locally grown chickens, raised on a healthy low-fat diet with no added hormones or steroids. Our commitment to quality guarantees a delicious and nourishing culinary journey. From our farms to your family, choose Fine Choice Meats.
Tune in to Betterments with host Bass, Monday through Thursday, 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. for a program that educates and is solution-based. Bass tackles the issues that matter to you, providing a platform to speak your mind and find solutions. That's Betterments with Bass, with a focus on education and resolution. This is all about making things better for you. So if you want to make a difference and have your voice heard, tune into Freedom 106.5 FM and join us for Betterments with Bass, Monday through Thursday from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. Better for you. Only on Freedom 106.5 FM, where we believe that your voice matters.
The detergent smells nice while washing, but when you use the new Downy Intense fabric softener, with its new multi-capsule fragrance, it releases an intense scent that lasts twice as long. With the new Downy Intense, you'll enjoy a rich and delightful fragrance that keeps you feeling fresh 24/7.
Welcome to Holiday Inn Express and Suites.
Do enjoy, Stacey. You want some coffee?
Can I have the book?
Perfect then.
That's exactly what we need.
Hey, the pool is this sweet.
Whatever you're here for, we're here for you. Stay smart at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites.
Some of us like to test limits, but there won't always be second chances. Obey the speed limits. Maybe you don't value your life, but others value theirs. A message from the TTPS.
Get the story first. Want to know what's happening in news, sports, or crime? Get the CNC3 app. As the story breaks, CNC3 is there giving you the story first on your mobile device. Be connected to the most trusted and reliable news source, CNC3. Access your world with just a tap. The CNC3 app. Download it today.
Sarud, CEO of Brew Securities Limited. He joins me on the Zoom line this morning to break down the latest installment of the Boss Report. Sarud, good morning.
Good morning, GW, and good morning, Trinidad and Tobago, and welcome to the Boss Report. Well, today we're taking a look at some financial results of two Canadian-owned banking giants listed on the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange. We're speaking, of course, about CIBC Caribbean as well as Scotiabank Trinidad and Tobago Limited. Now, both groups would have reported some fairly challenging results in terms of their earnings per share, and who knows, we may not be able to say that those groups are, or at least one of those groups are going to be Canadian-owned in the foreseeable future. Let's take a look at what investors might expect in the coming months ahead. Turning firstly to CIBC and for their fiscal half year ended April 2026, well, the group would have reported an earnings per share figure of 44 cents per share, TT dollar equivalent, which is a 7.1% decline from the 47 cents TT equivalent reported in the prior comparable period of fiscal 2025. Now, impressively, revenues were up just about 5.2% from 2.47 to 2.6 billion TT dollar equivalent. Operating expenses, however, increased 7.2% from 1.5 to 1.6 odd billion dollars, with credit loss expenses swinging from a release in the from a higher level of 92.5 million that fiscal period of 2025, down 71% to 65.8 million in the most recently concluded period. Net income attributable to equity holders ultimately declining 9.3% from 757 odd million to just about 687 odd million TT dollar equivalent. When we take a look at the revenue story for CIBC, we can see that, again, that fairly impressive 5.2% growth, however, overshadowed by increasing operating expenses. But from a revenue perspective, net interest income up just about 2%, or from 1.78 billion to just about 1.82 billion TT equivalent. Other operating income improving roughly 13.6% from 688 million TT equivalent to just about 782 million TT dollar equivalent. From a profit before tax by segment perspective, we can see some notable changes. Corporate and investment banking would have increased in terms of its PBT just by about 1.6% from 639 to 649 TT dollars, or million TT dollars rather. Personal and business banking in that orange segment declining from 253 to 196 million, a roughly 22% decline, and with the wealth management segment actually swinging from a prior loss of 48 million TT dollar equivalent to just about 15 million TT dollar equivalent in that most recently concluded period of the half year of 2026. Now, from a price earnings ratio perspective and looking at the entire banking sector, CIBC is trading on the higher end of the banking sector price earnings, or PE multiples, at 12.6 times compared to that banking sector average of 10.2 times. For comparative purposes, for example, our Republic Financial Holdings is trading at a lower multiple of about 7.8 times at this particular point in time. Now, again, at that price of $7.74, CIBC is trading at that price earnings ratio of 12.6 times and offers investors a dividend yield of 4.4%, which is below the sector average of 5.3%. Of course, keep in mind that CIBC does offer its dividend payments in US dollars. Now, of course, one of the major notable changes in recent times for CIBC or related to CIBC is the pending change of ownership, whereby Bank of Butterfield is or has made an offer to the parent company of CIBC Caribbean for its full stake, or roughly 92% holdings in CIBC Caribbean. And that change is expected, pending regulatory approvals, of course, to take place sometime in the first half of 2027. Investors will be receiving, once approved, of course, a package comprising roughly 70% cash, as well as the balance in, or roughly 60% cash rather, as well as the balance in NTB or Butterfield shares. And that, again, as mentioned, is expected to take place sometime in the first half of fiscal 2027. So for the time being, and based on that moderate revenue growth, those high operating expenses, that pending change of ownership, as well as those US dividend payments, BOS is going to maintain its market weight rating on CIBC for the time being with a watch outlook. Turning very quickly to Scotia for its fiscal half year, the group would have reported an earnings per share figure of $1.71, which was an 11.5% decrease from the $1.93 recorded in that prior comparable period of fiscal 2020, half fiscal of 2025. Net interest income increasing just about 2% from 754 million to 769 million. Overall revenues would have increased just about 1.2%, still above the $1 billion mark. However, profit attributable to equity holders would have declined 11.5% from 340 million to just about 301 odd million. Again, from a revenue trajectory, we can see that this has been the third consecutive period of growth in terms of revenue for Scotia, however, at a much lower rate of growth at that 1.2%, with that 2% net interest income growth offset by a roughly 1.6 to 2% decline in other income group, falling from 256 to 253 million, however, relatively range bound within that 250 to 255 million dollar range over the past 3 comparable periods. When we take a look at Scotia's operating efficiency, this was really where the notable change would have taken place in terms of overall profitability, with operating efficiency, that particular ratio increasing from 41.7% to just about 47.2%. Most of that attributable to the asset tax, which would have been implemented and ultimately impacted Scotia's non-interest operating expenses. From asset composition perspective, we can see some notable changes. Total loans in that purplish segment up around 2.8% from 21.1 billion to just about 21.7 billion. Investments in the greenish segment fell just about 24% from 7.5 billion to just about 5.7 billion in terms of holdings. Ultimately, just about a 4% decline in total assets for Scotia over the comparable periods, falling from 32.2 billion to just about $31 billion for the most recently concluded period. And again, like CIBC, trading at the higher end of the multiple spectrum for the banking sector at around 12.2 times. So at that price of $45.48, again, Scotia is trading at a price earnings ratio of that 12.2 times, above the sector average of 10.2 times, and offers investors a fairly generous dividend yield of 6.6% above the sector average of 5.3%. Of course, with the impact of the asset tax, it remains to be seen what or if any changes would be made in terms of dividend announcements as subsequent periods come by. So with that, on the basis of modest revenue growth, those higher non-interest expenses, those ongoing market uncertainties at the macroeconomic level, and a fairly above average sector valuations, BOS is maintaining its market rate rating on Scotia for the time being with a watch outlook. Well, that's it for this week's edition. For more information, you can give us a call at 226-8773, email us at info@bosfinancial.com, and of course, you can check out our website, bosinvestment.com, where all of our research is absolutely free, and you can catch this article in today's business section of the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian newspaper. So until next time, stay safe, happy investing, and we'll see you again on the Boss Report.
Surfside Pool and Leisure is an exclusive distributor of Hayward Pool products in Trinidad and Tobago. We stock industry-leading pumps, high-performance filters, pool chemicals, and sanitizers to keep your pool performing at its best. When it's time to relax, explore our range of floats, loungers, toys, and pool accessories designed for the perfect backyard experience. Visit us 150 Boundary Road, San Juan, 78 SS Aaron Road, San Fernando. Top brands, expert advice, trusted service. Call 235-7665.
It's Jenny's exclusive Big Father's Day sale. Get 25% off everything for Dad. All stores and online. Shop early and keep Dad looking cool. Jenny's exclusive Big Father's Day sale. JD's, Princesstown, San Fernando, Rio Claro, Gasparilla Mall, and M6 Plaza Chaguanas. Your low price headquarters, JD's.
Every day at the castle, long before we open our doors, our work begins. Our famous seasonings are mixed in advance. We select our fresh chicken parts and prep our delicious sides. Then we fire up the fryers and rotisserie oven. Everything is made with tasty local herbs, spices, and the same long-loved recipe since 1968. So, when you come in, remember that we uphold our culture and our taste. Just for you. We are your Royal Castle.
Recession have you down? Don't lose hope. Head on down to Tire Clinic for the recession deals. Big savings with our road hazard warranty on Dunlop, Tomitoma, and Falcon tires. Available at Tire Clinic, Cuba, Chaguanas, and Plaisance Park. Tire Clinic, a tire for every need. Call 636-8973 or 636-2958.
The Israelite Church of God in Jesus Christ, teaching the truth about God's people, God's plans, and the secrets of God, all written within the pages of the Holy Bible, which is the Word of God. Watch The Hidden Truth every Thursday at 5:30 a.m. to 6 a.m. on CNC3.
Sportsmanship is when an athlete walks off the court and you can't tell if he won or lost because he carries himself with pride either way. This quote is an embodiment of sport, and for me, sport is an embodiment of life. We are where you are. Well, it's gain or strain, the mid-year budget review. It's going to take place today, and to bring perspective, we welcome yet again Mariano Brown, economist. He joins me on the Zoom line, and as always, Mariano, let me thank you for the time. I look forward to the council as we prep for gain or strain, the 2025-2026 National Budget Review. Mariano, good morning.
Gain or strain.
Yeah, gain or strain. I mean, so far, I want to start right there with our theme. It's a mid-year budget review. It's really a chance to do a reassessment and I guess to put the ducks in a row going into the next fiscal, which is going to happen some months from now. Would you say this last couple of months coming up to this mid-year point, it's been gain or strain? Let's start right there with our theme. How do you see it through your lens, Mariano?
Well, it depends on whether you're part of the public sector negotiating body. If you see through their lenses, you certainly will see it as strain. I think the reality is that the position Mr. Tanku faces is no different from the position Mr. Imbert was in. That's the reality. That's the objective reality. And as much as the war in the Middle East would have raised energy prices, that is going to have we really can't benefit from it to a great degree. If you look at it has to do with regard to our supply of natural gas, and the economy that is still the dynamo of the economy. It accounts for between 30 and 40% of the economy, and 80% of our foreign exchange earnings. Notwithstanding the increase in prices, we haven't been able to increase production. And whilst we may talk about Manatee is still at least a year away, and most of the other projects are either at mobilization stage or haven't reached final investment decision. So you're only depending on literally what we have. And unfortunately, our expenditure, I think the expenditure envelope is much bigger than our revenue position.
Yeah, we just put it up, Mariano. I don't know if it's getting us a look at the screen, but we're actually seeing it here in real time. Look at the numbers. I mean,
no,
clearly,
I'm not seeing the screen for some reason or the other.
Well, they're seeing there with the oil, total revenue, 55.3 billion. Total expenditure, 59.23 billion. So, yes. I mean, but you know, and I guess this is where you come in to really break it down for myself and the audience. If you're spending more than you're making, that's clearly not a good look. However, despite everything, I'm seeing Moody's would have given us an upgrade, and so much so, based on that upgrade, there is renewed interest in the refinery. Are you seeing the screen right now, Mariano?
I'm seeing the screen.
Yeah, break that down for us, because clearly we spending more than we're earning based on oil. That's the assumption.
Well, that's not an assumption. That's a fact. And the mid-year budget review basically confirms that fact, because you have at least another almost $3 billion extra in terms of expenditure, which means that your budget deficit goes up from $3 billion to 3.68 billion or 3.8 billion, somewhere thereabouts. So add another 3 to it. So it goes to 6 point something. All right. So what you have is an increase in deficit, therefore an increase in your national debt, with no corresponding increase in your ability to repay. Now, Moody's revaluation is predicated on one thing, that the government's fiscal situation will be eased by the increase in prices. At least, and they make the point with regard to its external circumstances. That means it'll be able to pay its external debt much more easily because we'll have more foreign exchange. Now, does that mean that the economy will be repositioned? No. Does it mean that we are likely to do and to improve the non-energy sector in the short run? No. Does it mean that we can, do the diversification bit and that we're well on the way to moving that? No, it doesn't. And the more difficult issue, we simply have to look at, and the teachers are saying they're going to be they're not striking, they're working from home or whatever it is on Thursday and Friday, something to that effect. back pay elements have not been paid. That's the reality. And when you listen to all the crabbiness that took place in Parliament on Friday, the increases in the supplementations are not merely meant to address that back pay issue either. So we have this huge lump of expenditure, public expenditure, which is acknowledged, which is known, but is not provided for. So what happens next year? Right. At some you have to pay it at some time. It's an obligation which you recognize, which you built a campaign on, right? But has been not able to fulfill. What happens then? Right. So that means that the domestic expenditure bill is likely to eat up any increase in the revenue situation that comes on stream next year.
Well, I guess the finance minister got a great balancing act to pull off, because the reality is you always on the program speak to me and the nation about productivity, the importance of it. And our most important resource is the human capital. So what will happen if the nurses, if the teachers, if so many from the public sector withhold their services, or they work to rule, or they work, or they do a go slow? Ultimately, it will impact our productivity. Because, I mean, clearly these people need to be sorted out. I'm seeing here where the stakeholders are looking on today, namely the CWU, the Nurses Association, the teachers, the Trinidad and Tobago Police Social Welfare. I mean, all these are important arms of any functional society. Yes.
And they're not only important, they really represent the public services element, the framework, the structure which holds up your society, public services. And if those merely not only do not hold, they create a huge drawback in every other sector. So notwithstanding any increase in revenue, I mean, the fundamental issue still, and the IMF said it very clearly for the umpteenth time, that we have to manage our public sector deficit, and we cannot continue running public sector deficits. So, and that's what every government is going to have to face for the foreseeable future. And even if, for example, we were able to find more gas, more oil, and we didn't use those revenues to readjust our fiscal structure, we're going to be in more problems down the road. Because what we'll end up doing is agreeing larger and larger increases of public expenditure without the ability to repay. Remember, we are on the cusp of climate change, whilst 84% of the economy, of the world's economy, still runs on fossil fuels. There's some issues with regard to sustainability, and we are in the middle of that. And just as a segue to go to the idea of the refinery reopening, I mean, we've had a lot of talk about that under this regime and under the last regime. The reality is that refinery is not configured to handle oil from Guyana. It just isn't. And the upgrade which is required to do that, if we were able to get oil from Guyana, is going to be significant. And quite frankly, no private sector body has come forward to do that. So I don't think that refinery is a significant option or a real option.
Mariano, I'm looking at some of the numbers here, and I want to get the fact that, well, the CPEP and URP programs would have been closed, and I'm seeing where the $310 million allocation, and in some cases, well, I'm seeing it's in the millions, hundreds of millions. Were they able to, based on empiricals, based on data, is that money allocated somewhere else? What are the pros and cons of that particular move? Did it give the government any ease? Were they able to now shift some of the resources elsewhere? How do we more or less get the grassroots people into the mix again and get them in the cycle?
Well, 310 million is less than, I think, about 40% of what it was before. So it's not getting everybody back in position. It's getting some back in position. And that really helps the unemployment numbers. So that's a positive. But at the realistic element still has to do with how do we build an economy which is going to be inclusive, which is going to provide opportunity for everybody without the state carrying too many make-work programs. That's the key issue. And that has to do with transitioning. So that a lot depends upon the government's relationship with the private sector and the creation of conditions for growth. Now, the objective reality is that it's going to take a long time. It's not going to happen overnight. And the key part of that element is how do you manage your public sector expenditures in that interim? And that's really where we have the cycle needs to be broken.
Understood. Mariano.
So that's.
No, go ahead, because I want to get to something very soon. I really want to pick your brain on a particular development I'm seeing.
No, you go ahead. You ask me that question.
Well, I'm seeing here where the former Attorney General, and I just really want to get your perspective on this, he is suggesting here to the government to allow the exchange of all $100 notes after a court ruling. So he wants the old notes to be able to be converted to the polymer notes. You think this is going to be raised at all during this mid-year budget review? Is this something that could take place?
It's not going to be raised during the mid-year budget review. I don't think it's going to be raised during the mid-year budget review, but it does represent a possibility which would be attractive to many. And the real issue that follows from that is the unexplained yourself wealth bill. Explain your unexplained wealth bill. That's going to be the critical issue. Where did you get it and how did you get it? I think that the issue that he argued on for a particular person, somebody who was deprived of an opportunity because they were abroad, COVID got them stuck. Right now, those are exceptional circumstances. Now, to open the door to a wholesale redemption of old notes also raises a whole series of questions which were never well handled in the situation where one or two persons showed up with substantial amounts of unexplained wealth, and we've had no real action on that. So it's impossible to talk about corruption on one side and then open this sort of beneficial hole and window without really dealing with those matters. So it remains to be seen how that will be handled, but that's not going to come up in the mid-year budget review.
Oh, understood. Mariano, what does the state of emergency say to foreign investors? What does it do to the confidence? Because obviously, we're trying to find different ways of getting the wheels turning. And we find ourselves in a situation where we are yet again in a state of emergency going up until September. From an economic standpoint, is there any fallout from such a particular undertaking?
Well, of course, there's a fallout. It's literally a flag to the rest of the world that we haven't got no crime situation under control. Now, is the state of emergency going to help us? What we really have is a catch and release system. Effectively, we put people in a protected detention orders, and we never able to charge them or bring anything of substance to court to basically jail them. So it's really a temporary measure which has a temporary effect in terms of your crime rate. And quite frankly, we've seen enough evidence of what is taking place in the current situation to suggest that even that isn't working. So that is not a good signal. It means that the agencies of the state, which are responsible for security, are not up to par, and that our methodologies that we've used aren't working. Now, if you use the state of emergency to retool, to rejig, and to redevelop and redeploy assets differently, that's a positive. But I don't think that the evidence is telling us that. All right, so I mean, clearly, everybody wants a government to succeed in this area. Nobody wants a government to fail, right? Because the failure of a government really is the failure of the society. So I don't think that there's any, everybody, I think, wants to see this happen, a positive development take place. But unfortunately, I don't think we're seeing that, and that can't be good for business. Right? And the other aspects of it, you have to remember as well, the weak security situation means that we have to divert resources into protection. So security services, the security industry is in a boom in real terms. The cameras, the surveillance, all the other mechanisms are being put into position. Those are expenses which are sense defensive measures. They aren't going to improve your business. Right? So that crime does have an effect in terms of how businesses operate.
But as you rightfully said, we all want to see the country do well. We want to win. So from that perspective, in that regard, through your lens, and also holding office and being in that particular seat, what do you think is the right place right now to put that investment, that we could generate some kind of momentum, get the wheels turning again, and we could get everything that kind of almost trickle down to our grassroots brothers and sisters? Where's a good place to start, Mariano, at this point in time?
Well, a good place to start is to make the ease of doing business easier. Everybody's been talking about it, and all of that is with public sector reform. But you haven't heard any government talk about public sector reform for some time. And public sector reform is an ongoing requirement. If you're going to put in new systems, for example, in terms of IT, that means that you're adjusting all of your existing systems. And quite frankly, that has really been more talk than action. So there's a huge requirement in terms of modernization of the existing governmental framework in terms of how we deliver goods and services. That's something that everybody's agreed on, but quite frankly, in terms of our ability to deliver it and really make changes, that has really been stymied. For example, and this is a key issue. This is a foundation on which you build a country until you can't build. No country has been built without an effective public service. Nowhere in the world. So you have to have an effective public service to start off with, and to have an effective private sector, because the public sector inefficiencies also affect the private sector's ability to earn and grow. Now, there's some lessons here, and the lessons are clearly that some of our larger companies aren't expanding in Trinidad and Tobago, they're expanding abroad. Right, and that's not a good signal. That tells us that they see that the market is mature and there's no real room for that. So you have to make room for another tier of growth that is outward oriented and export oriented, and we aren't there at all. So that public sector efficiency is a critical issue. Now, one of the difficulties with every government so far is determining 5 priorities. Just 5. Just pick 5. Don't make 64 items in a particular area your objective. That's not going to work. Right? What's going to work is to focus on getting a few things done and getting a few things done properly.
Well, I heard the Minister of Trade suggesting that he wants to digitize lots of the systems and help in that regard when it comes to the ease of doing business.
Well, that's an open door. But that also has to do with getting governments and government departments to coordinate with one another. I mean, we had some huge examples where take for example if you want, the digitalization of the registry system. At this stage of the game, after 3 years of stop and start and so on, you would think that the system would be moving smoothly. It isn't. It isn't. So, and that's a critical issue in terms of getting your business registration in order.
Well, Mariano, let's go now to taxes. Yes, indeed. Let me ask you about taxes here and penalties. We have found ourselves in a space where there are massive increases. Land, business surcharge, electricity surcharge. We saw where they went for the low-hanging fruit. So those who love their sips and their smokes, we all know what's going on in that regard. It's gone up. Penalties are increased. Clearly, whether mid-year budget review, I know they don't really do any increases in a mid-year. It's more or less to kind of balance the books. But do you anticipate next budget, or at least anytime soon, I mean, more or less these penalties and these taxes should stay. I can't anticipate any increase in that regard going forward.
Well, those are not going to make any significant difference to your revenue numbers. So, and they're a nuisance. In fact, I think that they probably lose more in terms of public perception than they gain. The critical issue in Trinidad and Tobago is enforcement. Digitization of trade is a straightforward and a simple issue. But what is happening, and got to digitization of some basic information, is the ability of departments to share data. Now, that's a critical issue. So, for example, we have the FIU, right? And a lot of the changes in the registry system were a sense to facilitate FIU. Has it helped how you open a bank account? The answer to that, no. It's made it more complicated. It's made the situation longer. Doesn't help the ease of doing business at all. They don't use the information. So the online data is there, but not easily accessible and not open to everyone. Hang on a second. If you want to move the system forward, then they have to have interoperability. Right? There's 2 forms of ID that I'm going to, I have to work with 2 physical forms of ID, and then there's an argument about which type of ID, which bill number I'm going to use. I have to bring my electricity bill and hang on, this is a little bit ridiculous at this stage.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to do that in New York, and I do have to do it in London, and I do have to do it in many major economies, but we have to do it here.
Mariano, as we look to wrap things up this morning, your final words as it pertains to the media budget review and why it matters.
Well, the media budget review matters because it tells you how we are dealing. The media budget review matters because it tells you how we're dealing with our revenue situation, how we deal with public expenditure. And quite frankly, it does not send a good signal. All right, the increase in continued deficit, even the Auditor General in our annual report on 2025 pointed out the number of years that we've been running a deficit and the fact that is not sustainable. Simple as that. Even the Auditor General is telling you that. All right, so I don't think it's big advice to say that we have to get that in order. We must.
Yeah. Well, Mariano Brown, as always, sincere thanks. I look forward to what transpires today, and I'm sure we'll get a chance to touch base and do our post-mortem, our analysis, post-media budget review analysis at some point. All the best, Mariano. Have a great day and a great week ahead.
Thank you. You too.
Mariano Brown touching base with us later on after the 7 a.m. news update. Edie Stewart steps in from the Nurses Association. Then we get in detail and very intense discussion with Victor, who represents the creatives, and later on the chamber, because Tobago is important to this conversation. Let's take the pause. We come back and we get into some housekeeping right here on your Morning Brew today, Monday, Media Budget Review. Gain or strain?
Magical Expressions Limited is the largest local importer and distributor of fresh cut stems, offering the widest range of beautiful flowers at the most affordable prices. Call us today at 701-6488 or visit our website to order.
Lucozade, bring the energy. Unbeatable taste, new look.
Things don't always go as expected. Be ready with Trinry for auto, home, business and group life. Call us at 800-TRIN or visit trinry.com today. Huge insurance premium. Pay your premiums bit by bit with FlexiPay from Trinry. For more manageable auto, home and commercial insurance payments, call us at 800-TRIN or visit trinry.com today. Trinry, premier insurance coverage for less.
Step into ABC Doors and Windows, where quality meets variety. Discover premium wooden, steel panel, fiberglass, and steel security doors alongside aluminum, UPVC, and steel windows designed for strength and durability. At ABC, we're always a better choice, delivering products built to last and service you can rely on. Visit our showroom at 1 Chanka Trace, El Socorro South, or call 638-7184 to make your dream home a reality.
Welcome back. Let's remind you of ways you can connect with us. Make that request to sit on the couch or to join me on the Zoom line. You're sending your email to tmb@cnc3.co.tt. That's right. Really simple. Put yourself in a gear, concise, to the point, and I'll see you soon. We look forward. I look forward. So put yourself in a gear today. Let's remind you, we will give you lots of updates as it happens. We will ventilate and put it out there via our Instagram feed, Facebook, and X. Very active. You know we do. You know we just deal with the social media here. You know this already. Yes, we don't play. Especially when it comes to our mobile app. We vet the stories. Our number one, well, your number one source, TNT's number one source for verified breaking news. All your favorite content there on demand. So line up yourself. Once you have a smartphone, you should have this app. This is a must. And let's go to the legacy product. Trinidad and Tobago Guardian. 108 years in the making. Still here, standing strong with all your developments, local, regional, and international. Get your copy today. And for those who love to enjoy the Guardian on their desktop, laptop, or their mobile, you can visit guardian.co.tt today. Let's head and take in our food for thought. We call this segment Something to Think About. Action is the foundational key to all success. Action is the foundational key to all success. You know, they always say the hardest part about starting something is starting something. You just need to start it. Start it, go through with it, be consistent, and indeed, victory will be yours. I know normally we get into our farmers update on a Monday, and we got that next with Sagoni. So let's take in the Farmers Almanac on this Monday morning.
Good morning, farmers. I'm Sigoni Mohammed, and here's your Farmer's Almanac for the week ahead. A gradual increase in moisture will bring more showers and periods of rain later this week, but warm temperatures and ongoing evaporation mean moisture conservation remains essential across Trinidad and Tobago. So on Monday, we're expecting breezy conditions with a mix of sunshine and clouds. It is a poor planting day. Seeds planted now tend to rot in the ground, and then by Tuesday to Wednesday, well, we've got a few morning thunderstorms possible before conditions improve to a mix of clouds and sunshine. These are among the most fruitful planting days of the week, and they are excellent for seed beds, your flower gardens, tomatoes, beans, peppers, corn, and other above ground crops. Now, the combination of increasing moisture and favorable lunar conditions should support healthy germination and establishment. From Thursday through Saturday, though, what we're seeing here is that cloudiness increases, bringing scattered showers, periods of rain, and the chance of morning thunderstorms, particularly across eastern, central, and southern districts. While these showers will provide some relief to crops, farmers should remember that rainfall remains below normal overall, and soil moisture deficits continue across many farming areas. And this is also going to be a poor planting period, so instead you want to focus on pest control and land clearing. The first quarter moon phase also occurs within this period and traditionally is associated with vigorous leaf and stem growth and increased plant energy above ground. Now, how about a farming tip of the week before we go, especially for farmers in Tobago who should continue monitoring water supplies carefully, especially in southwestern districts where drier than normal conditions remain a concern. You may want to maintain your water supplies, so continue storing water and irrigating efficiently, as below normal rainfall remains a very big concern despite periodic showers. And you might also want to consider controlling pests early, and that's due to the combination of heat and intermittent rainfall. It can encourage both insect activity and disease development. So farmers, plant early, then shift your attention to pest management and field maintenance as wetter conditions develop later on this week. And that's your Farmers Forecast, helping you grow smarter every week.
Sagoni, sincere thanks as always, bringing the great information to those who got the green thumb, who looking to toil the soil, our farmers, and even for the enthusiasts. Let's remind you what's happening inside the second hour. We get things rolling with Edie Stewart, the president of the TTNNA, the Nurses Association. Then Victor stepping in to treat with the creatives, the Artists Coalition of TNT. He's the president. We want to hear what's in store, at least what's the request from our creatives, our artisans, those who they live via their particular skill set, their craft, their hands, their voice, their words, yes? So that's a very important conversation. And of course, Tobago is getting in the conversation with Curtis Williams, president of the Tobago Division of Chamber of Industry and Commerce, for the Gain Strain Media Budget Review, Tobago Perspective. Later on from 7:30, let's put it up, Rand Bechu will be on with this amazing team to do the post-mid-year budget review analysis. That's at 7:30 this evening. Up next, your 7 a.m. news update. See you literally in a few minutes. We're going to come back soon.
Time Check, brought to you by the Central Bank and the National Financial Literacy Program.
Good morning, I am Chester Sambrano with headline news on CNC3 and the TBC radio network. Opposition leader Penelope Beckles and Lebre MP Clyde Elder put politics aside on Saturday night as they joined hundreds of Lo-Zero residents in a candlelight march calling for greater protection of the nation's children following the killing of 12-year-old Mercedes Lane. Mercedes was reportedly placed in a PH vehicle by her grandfather to travel home. She never arrived. Her death has shocked the country and sparked calls for greater community vigilance. Beckles says 73 children, including 12 girls, have died in the past 10 years.
We are here as politicians, but we are here mainly because we understand the challenge, we understand the pain, and we understand the hurt for the parents and for the people of Lebre. We look around and we see the hundreds of you that have come out today to do this work, and it's because you are also saying to both of us that, and to the both political parties, government and opposition, that we can only deal with crime if we come together and acknowledge that this is an issue that crosses party lines.
An aircraft which left St. Vincent and the Grenadines en route to Tobago on Friday has gone missing. The plane departed Argyle International Airport with 2 people aboard around 11:52 a.m. destined for the A.N.R. Robinson International Airport. However, air traffic control lost all contact around 12:15 p.m. as the plane flew south of St. Vincent airspace. A source at the air traffic control in Trinidad and Tobago confirmed the situation to CNC3 News, saying authorities in Argyle contacted their PIACO counterparts to alert them of the incident. Pilots operating in the area have been asked to be on the lookout for any possible oil spill. Flight Radar 24 data shows the aircraft flying at about 4,000 feet and traveling at approximately 142 knots. However, it suddenly disappeared from the system as its transponder stopped transmitting. Ramesh Lakshmidiyal, former head of civil aviation, said the incident was nothing to be alarmed about, but suggested further investigation from national security. Minister of Civil Aviation Eliza Kuru tells Guardian Media emergency protocols have been activated in PIACO and the Coast Guard alerted. He said the whereabouts of the aircraft remains unknown and searches have yielded nothing to assist the investigation thus far. Meanwhile, Tobago's new A.N.R. Robinson International Airport terminal is now one step closer to opening after government announced it formally began the transition process to full operations yesterday. The Ministry of Works and Infrastructure handed over several formal documents to the Minister of Transport and Civil Aviation, Eliza Kuru, and Chief Secretary of the Tobago House of Assembly, Fali Augustine. Minister Jolene John says what has now been transferred is a certified, commissioned, and fully documented terminal building. The handover also included contractor and manufacturer warranties for key building systems, along with technical manuals outlining maintenance, safety, and operational procedures for the day-to-day management of the terminal. Since partial completion last year, officials say an extensive program of works was carried out to prepare the terminal for operations, including completion of taxiway paving, installation of airfield lighting, integration with air traffic control systems, testing of mechanical and electrical systems, and commissioning of baggage handling and security equipment. Well, stay tuned for another news update at the top of the hour and for comprehensive coverage in our midday newscast and also our major newscast at 7 p.m. on CNC3.
Welcome to the second hour as we get into our mid-year budget review analysis. We start things off as per usual via the morning brew. We are the first out of the gates and we will pass the baton later on to the team doing the analysis after the review itself. That's in the afternoon, then 7 p.m. Our newscast straight into Ryan BHU at 7:30. But a very important voice, and we established that today in The Guardian when many of the stakeholders are asking very pertinent questions.
One of the stakeholders is indeed Edie Stewart, representing the nurses. Edie joins me yet again. Great to see you, Edie. Thanks for the time, and I look forward because there is lots to unpack on this mid-year budget review Monday. Welcome.
Pleasant morning to you and your listeners. Thanks for having me.
Well, Edie, I don't know if you got your copy of your Guardian today. Page 6, you're here starring yet again. It says nurses seek salary roadmap. I would love for you to elaborate, because we heard in Parliament recently, it was asked blatantly, hey, what's going to happen with the nurses and the regional authorities? And I heard there was a outright no. I'm sure you heard that development in Parliament last Friday. So walk me through that remark, and more so what's the roadmap based on the current climate and circumstance.
Well, definitely, if I would have viewed the similar clip that you are speaking about, which came from the Honorable Minister of Labour, indicating that, to his knowledge, he's not aware that these salary negotiations, these salary increases, this funding, this 2.8 billion funding, would not be directed towards healthcare workers, in specific workers within the Regional Health Authority. These are for arrangements that would have already taken place under the previous government, and I believe two that took place under this current government. So yes, we are definitely concerned at the National Nursing Association, but more so the entire healthcare sector, because it's not only nursing and military personnel who are negatively affected. It is all regional health authority workers. Some 15,000 plus healthcare workers are negatively affected as we speak. So I know all our healthcare workers are looking on today, are listening attentively to see if the man of the moment, the Minister of Finance, would be making a statement to reassure them, or at least give them the opportunity to understand, as you rightfully indicated, the roadmap, how this will take place in a not too distant future. So that is all we are asking.
If it's not forthcoming, Edie,
Minister of Finance.
If it's not forthcoming in the mid-year budget review today, what's the contingency plan?
Well, the government will have to put a contingency plan for the health sector. It is not for the association. But in terms of the association, I can tell you the health sector, it's at its breaking point. And the health sector, workers, despite the best efforts of the Nursing Association to try to pacify, to try to calm the frustration, the anger that healthcare workers are experiencing at this time, our efforts are really beginning to lose momentum, beginning to lose that impact to hold back healthcare workers from taking action. So I can tell you, a number of members and non-members, a number of workers have indicated, look, since the government has blocked one of our possible actions where we were planning to take by marching towards Parliament and airing our voices so the policymakers can hear, since that has now been blocked, we need to come up with innovative strategies. And one of those strategies, I can tell you, has been we need to begin campaigning. We are no longer protesting. No nursing personnel, no healthcare worker is going to be protesting anymore, because that is a very offensive word for some persons in the government all of a sudden. So we have desisted from protesting, and we will be campaigning in front of some of these ministers' home, is a suggestion made by our membership and also non-members. So we are considering that, and we are also considering a number of other strategies, all, of course, within the remit and the strict confines of the laws that continuously, on a daily basis, the government is rolling out to restrict more and more of our normal freedoms we would have had in Trinidad and Tobago. Yeah?
Eddie, I want you to elaborate on something you said here. It's in the Guardian, page 6. And, it speaks to priorities. And I know when we consider any particular sector, even our own personal lived reality, there are certain priorities. And you would have mentioned here that as it pertains to the mid-year budget review and healthcare workers, they want that salary increase. You said here, quote, "This is the #1 priority right now for healthcare workers," end quote. So we're not dealing here with equipment, we're not dealing here with working conditions. You believe that the #1 priority for healthcare workers right now, based on your assessment, your knowledge of what's happening on the ground, it is indeed that salary increase. That's the #1 priority.
You can ask any one of the 15,000+ workers within the healthcare sector. They don't want to hear a single thing. They don't want to hear anything other than when they would receive a salary increase and how that would be calculated, how that salary increase would be calculated, what mechanism has to follow. Because we are hearing things from a number of quarters, but the persons who have the ability to treat for this matter is remaining silent. The persons in the name of the Minister of Health, the Minister of Finance, and the Prime Minister, they continue to remain silent on this critical issue. And persons must appreciate working on 2013 salaries in 2026 it goes to the root of employer-employee relationship. It goes to the root of trying to maintain your standard of living. It goes to the root of falling value of money. It goes to the root of inflation. And all of these things are placing a strain. Things are so bad with workers within the healthcare sector that persons cannot survive on the salary of the healthcare worker. They must work extra duty, they must work rideshare, they must work in private organizations. It is becoming so difficult for one. And what does that do to the individual? Obviously, that worker now comes to work burnt out at the start of their shift because they have to be working all of these odd jobs outside of their normal working hours. But they have no other choice because you cannot survive on these 2013 salaries. There are few people still remaining on 2013 salaries. Imagine the very government is indicating that CPEP workers and URP workers were being taken advantage of and their salaries were too low. So they had to close it down and all of the corruptions yet still to be proven. And they have now opened this community, I can't remember the exact name, but CPEP 2, whatever is the new name, and they are giving them higher salaries because they don't believe that they should be working for such low salaries for these make work programs. And established jobs within the healthcare sector, you do not believe these workers deserve a salary increase. It's really unfortunate, and healthcare workers will not forget what they are being placed through by the silence, the deafening silence of the Minister of Finance and indeed the entire government on this particular matter.
I mean, obviously, based on recent utterances, it's looking a bit gloomy, but is there any sense of optimism from you, Eddie? Any kind of silver lining behind what's clearly a dark cloud? I mean, obviously, we are waiting with bated breath as to what will be said by the finance minister today. But again, if indeed today there is no indication of this particular increase, they're not going to treat with our nurses. I'm trying to just figure out what is going to be the game plan, what's going to be the status of our health sector and that treatment, because nurses play such an integral role, and I'm really trying to figure out what will transpire in the weeks, months ahead.
Well, it's really unfortunate when one sits back and listens to the rhetoric of the sitting government. A government, when they were in opposition for 9.5 years, would have berated the then PNM government, speaking on issues and that they should meet with stakeholders, they should collaborate, they should have discussions. And now they are in the seat and refusing to meet and collaborate and have discussions. It seems once one gets into government, a switch is turned on or a switch is turned off in terms of discussion, collaboration, having meaningful opportunities for dialogue. And we would want to tell the government, look, the Nursing Association is very knowledgeable in diplomacy. We are very good in diplomacy. But however, in terms, we are also very versed in the art of I don't want to say war, but because words, these days you can be imprisoned, you can be accused of treason, you can be accused of sedition for using certain phrases. So I have to be very careful in terms of what I say. But in terms of diplomacy, we know diplomacy. We have been trying ad nauseum to get the ear of the government, all to no avail. But if it comes down to a battle, we are well versed in that. The labor movement is well versed. And if it means reminding the government of that, we will do so again within the confines of law.
Well, interestingly, you said the labor movement with Labor Day around the corner, and obviously we're looking at the labor climate within the country. There are certain unions that clearly, I guess because they would have marched and they would have been in the trenches with the now government when they were running last year, they're getting through. And I'm trying to figure out some unions receiving, some not receiving. I mean, I have to address the elephant in the room. Do you think this is beyond just the labor vibration? Is this something on a personal level, Edie? Because I'm trying to figure out, Tutor, I know Tutor didn't march. Tutor, the president at the time, he stayed away. He kept a neutral stance. I think you also would have done that. So I'm trying to figure out the politics, as it were, within the said labor movement. How is that working? How do you treat with that, Edie?
Well, a number of persons have rightfully indicated, and they have rightfully indicated, that it appears only those organizations who would have openly supported, openly put their entire union in support of a political party appears to be getting through. We have no opinion on that at this current time, but we hear those statements. And it would be really unfortunate that the ability for unions to acquire for their membership the benefits of the state, the benefits, the rightful benefits that belongs to all persons, all citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, is now contingent on if you support a political party. Well, then there we are going down a slippery road. Because if that is the message that is being sent, then, and you are basically now forcing other unions in the similar direction to either support you or to support an opposing political party in order for them to get benefits for their members, you can see where we will end up as a society. And we really refuse to be dragged into that very contentious, very unpalatable space, because we don't believe unions should be in that space. We prefer to remain independent so we can always commend governments when they do well and also hold them accountable for when they do badly. Because there are so few groups remaining within society that has that ability to do. because everywhere you're seeing persons are capitulating. I'm seeing economists who once spoke with such neutrality, openly supporting the government for good and bad. And I have no problem if you are indicating a position where you support the government action as it's genuinely good. But we would have witnessed these same economists being neutral and holding successive governments, but all of a sudden, every single thing the government do, it's positive. I'm seeing lawyers doing the same thing. So persons we once looked up to get that independent view are slowly falling by the wayside. And it's left a few groups remaining who has that credibility to continuously speak on all matters without fear or favor. And no one can indicate that we, at least at the Nurses Association, and I heard you mention TUTA, and there are a number of other organizations, the CW, the EPA, steelworkers, who continue to speak regardless of who is in power. Because we are probably the few remaining on the horizon that the public can be rest assured we will always continue to speak. And those persons who try to associate at least the Nursing Association with any political party, well, there would come a time where they will have to produce that evidence in a court of law for a judge to determine if they are defaming the association or not. That time is not too far from now.
President Stewart, as we look to wrap things up today, Media Budget Review Monday, gain or strain?
The association is pleading with the government, even if out of that 2.8 billion, there's nothing for healthcare workers. Even if that you have not seen the value in healthcare workers over the COVID pandemic, over the numerous strains we have been facing with a 13-year salary gap. Even if you don't appreciate the value, and you don't respect healthcare workers all that much, we are pleading for our patients. Please make a statement as to when healthcare workers would receive a salary increase. In the name of the patient, even if you don't care about healthcare workers themselves, at least make a statement so the patients who are depending on services, critical emergency services from our healthcare institutions, would not be unduly affected by silence coming from and emanating from this media budget review. We are really pleading.
So yeah. I guess we're hoping for a gain, but right now, based on your words, you're under some strain, because that's more or less our theme going into this media budget review. I'll give you a chance.
Yes, severe strain.
Well,
severe strain.
Severe strain. Well, I'll tell you, in the seconds that remain, I'll let you speak directly to those you represent, Edie. The final words are yours.
The Nursing Association would like to inform members, following the media budget review, we will be announcing our next step. Hopefully the Minister of Finance would make some type of statement, even if it's to reassure us that he may deal with it in 1 month's time or 2 months' time. Hopefully he would make some statement. If he doesn't, then we will be announcing our next step. And we expect that it would be massive based on what the ground is saying. And we look forward to every single person participating in the next call to action. But hopefully that next call action would never come once the minister makes his statement. We don't want industrial tension. We don't want war. We don't want bacchanalia with the government. But if it is the only language they understand, then we are well versed in that language also. Yeah.
President Edie Stewart, thank you so much for touching base, and let's see how things go today. I really hope it works out for you, for all those in the association who play such an integral role in our healthcare infrastructure. All the best.
Thanks so much for having me. Take care.
That's right, representing the nurses. Edie Stewart touching base. Up next, Victor steps in on the Zoom link to hear from the creatives. What's in store via the budget for those who are part of that most important element within the economy? Our creatives, our artists, our artisans. That conversation next.
West Indian Traders will kick off our 30th anniversary by offering an IPO to the public.
West Indian Traders Limited is an exciting opportunity because you are getting the best of both worlds. You are getting an established business with 30 years in operation, but one that is still experiencing significant growth, and you don't get that every day. So for the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange SME market, this will be the first time investors will get exposure to the fast-moving consumer goods industry, which has a lot of growth potential in Trinidad and Tobago.
NCB Merchant Bank was chosen as the lead broker and arranger because of their expertise in the market and their high level of experience through their management staff.
The best time to start investing is yesterday. The second best time to start investing is today. And if you're going to start with West Indian Traders Limited.
In today's fast-paced competitive job market, certification courses provide individuals with flexible and industry-relevant learning options. Increase your chances of employment with a certification course at CTS College. We have over 50 courses in business, IT, do-it-yourself or professional development to choose from, all developed by industry experts. Courses start as low as $200 and can be completed in as little as 1 day, allowing you to acquire the relevant skills you need quickly and affordably. Contact CTS College today to sign up.
Mom, Dad, this is Trevor.
Hi. He's no Kieran. Back up.
Fling? That's why he crossed the road. It was funny when Kieran said,
Oh, who could that be?
We're like the parents who don't miss your ex.
I can't believe Kieran is in the neighborhood.
CG United. Good like that.
Heart disease is the #1 cause of death in Trinidad and Tobago, driven by 2 silent threats, diabetes and high cholesterol. But now there's a powerful ally, introducing Berberine Plus by Asia Nutrition, clinically proven to stabilize blood sugar and keep cholesterol levels in check. With 99.9% pure extract, you get superior absorption and real results. Available now at Pennywise and leading pharmacies nationwide. Berberine Plus. Your heart deserves better.
This is more than just music. This is where you find the best of TNT. This is more than just a vibe. This is where Bollywood gets a twist. This is more than just energy. This is Bhangra and indie pop too. This is the mix. This is the life. Lock on or log on now. Sangeet 106.1 FM. This is authentic East Indian radio. This is us.
Gain or strain, a very important conversation. And interestingly, I was saying earlier before we got into the conversation, that, what's expected, and my producer, rightfully so, reminded me that there was no allocation. There is really nothing so far in terms of whether mid-year or even at the start of the budget, when it came into the public domain for the orange economy. And that's where Victor steps in, because it's a very important conversation, it's an important economy, and it employs so many. And if just a little sprinkle was to go on the sector, oh my goodness, the magic that could come out of it. Where are you, Victor? And of course, good morning to you. Great to see you as always. Thanks for coming on. Why are we why are we playing, smart with foolishness? Why are we not focusing? I mean, government after government, budget after budget, there's really been no major incentive really for those in the orange economy. And I'd love for you to elaborate and let me know where and how we could get to that place.
Right. Well, I mean, yeah. So the orange economy is, the creative industries and cultural sector with $3.17 trillion annually, second largest industry on the planet at the moment for the last 28 years or so, and neglected by most of our governments, nearly all our administrations and stuff. What I would say is that since this administration has gotten into office, we've been trying to get an audience with them. Every single administration our approach is at the Artists Coalition of Trinidad and Tobago has been the same. We contact the administration and congratulate them, say, yeah, congratulations, even though they may see themselves as adversarial to us. We do that, and we say, but we would like to meet with you and talk the sector and present to you the progressive agenda of the sector. For a long period, we weren't getting audience with this administration. It's kind of like the last administration was much the same. But then eventually, through a kind of chance meeting, we were able to get that audience, and it turned out to be an extraordinary audience with the Ministry of Trade, all their technocrats, most of their technocrats and department heads, and we made the presentation. We were able to make the presentation that we would normally do, where we presented. I mean, we know that what the economic moment looks like, so we didn't go full hog and say, yeah, we want X and this, that, bam, there were like 265 outstanding common sense things. We went with a fairly modest kind of thing, about 30-something ask, which we consider very, very essential, which covered like policy institutions, fiscal enablers, projects, and that kind of stuff. And surprisingly, in principle, the government has agreed to about 20-something of them, and we are hoping to see some of that reflected in today's media review. So that's it. I mean,
but that's good news, Victor. I mean, obviously, you got an audience, and clearly there's a momentum. But obviously, for these plans to take root, resources are required.
Yeah. So I mean, those were what is kind of obvious from the conversations and that kind of stuff is that the country doesn't have. The country doesn't have money, doesn't have liquidity in the way that it has had in the past. And I suppose part of the aliveness to us and our projects has to do with understanding that what has operated in the past has not worked or cannot work in the future, and so something new has to be done. And so, monies has to be found for this, that, the other priorities have to be made, and those kind of things. And we kind of worked with governments to try and figure out, okay, what could be the priority things, what could be things that could bounce the next one into existence, and those kinds of things. We will see. I mean, the thing is, it's unfortunate, you say you don't trust, I don't trust politicians as far as I can throw them, kind of thing. But the thing is that there has been an aliveness to the sector, and the structure around implementation in the Ministry of Trade is extraordinary. I have to say, I mean, in terms of somebody who's been dealing with governments for 30-something years, it's very practical, and it's it's bent towards actual accomplishment. And they are pretty talented people in a lot of the positions and that kind of stuff. We wait to see. But the thing is that, so on our hand at Artists Coalition, we've been having meetings with artists for the last, since like October, well, since pre-budget last year to the present, and we just had a meeting just recently, and we will continue to have ones where we, feeling the sector's kind of responses on the ground towards things and moving towards the things. But so I mean that's what I was saying is like a slightly hopeful that there's as I said some aliveness to what needs to be done, and so we will see when things are read and when you look at the PSIP and those kinds of documents, if some of those things are there. But there's pretty substantial things, so we'll see. Excellent. I mean, great development, and that's why I guess these conversations are so important. You know, the reality is so many within the sector. When we look at shows, productions, it's almost self-contained. Oh, well, it's not self-contained. It's based on, I guess, private sector investment and people sustaining themselves and being able to find the resources to do these shows. And I would imagine if there is that injection, so much more can be done. And I'm looking at the carnival product and certain iconic shows that would have been part of it. Do you think we are going past certain competitions and production? It's time to look towards the future, or could we revive any of these established brands that would have brought such momentum and numbers and vibrance to the space? Namely, let's say a product like a Soca Monarch, as it were, which is no more because of a lack of resources and support. Right. Well, I mean, the thing is, okay, so this is my take on the competitions. The competitions is something, is a series of sacred rituals created by the people in order to throw up champions and the champion artifacts that would be the things that conjugate the essence and the mood of the people for the year, and to serve as their shields and their swords for the coming year. And that's what the Marche Gras and Band of the Year and King and Queen of Carnival and the winning Marche Gras, the winning Stick Fighter and the winning Soca Monarch competition. All of these things are competitions that emerge from the belly of the people with an express kind of sacred kind of purpose to kind of serve as this shield and sword. And in that way, it furthers the tradition. It roots the tradition and furthers it at the same time. It forces it to kind of renew itself. One of the ways that competition has been corrupted in the past is through judges, the judges being corrupted by political interference, by bourgeois kind of values that stray from the core of what the festival is about, as sanctioned by the people. Those things have been as damaging as the removal of monies from it, in terms of cutting the link between the people and the festival, the people and the competition. So the thing is that we have a lot of engineering to do with the competition and the competitions to return them to their kind of sacred space in the carnival. And yes, the private sector has to take up its load. I mean, it's like we have multiple corporate citizens declaring billion-dollar and multi-billion-dollar profits, right? And this is after the accountants go through the books and stuff, I mean, so we have people who can afford, a little extra 2 million, 3 million prize money for these things. I mean, these things, in terms of tourism hype and reach, brand awareness, and those kinds of things, are punching somewhere in the region of $50-60 million in terms of the amount of brand awareness and its reach internationally. We get notices of those competitions, especially Soca Monarch, in major magazines, vlogs, international TV arenas, all different kinds of things, because of celebrity visiting, different kinds of things, because of the nature of the competitions themselves. So that little spend that we make for something like Soca Monarch is worth, it punches above its weight. It's worth so much more.
Yeah.
And then what it does in terms of the festival itself, in terms of the industry, in terms of the soca industry, I say, like right now, we have about, well, I don't know how much they retain their earnings, but they are, about 30-something millionaires, and multi-millionaires in the fraternity, and that's all because of Soca Monarch, under Mr. William Monroe. A lot of people owe their riches and their brand cachet and their careers, their further careers to the, what Soca Monarch opened up for them. So yeah, that's something that, with as much as it has issues, there are some problems. There's always been problems with the competition in terms of its execution. But there is no denying its power and impact. And that's just one thing. A lot of the things that we are fighting for are not just the transient things like competitions and events. We are battling for institutional stuff, policy-related stuff, legislation stuff, things like that can permanently change the sector
and shift the needle in the right direction. Victor, I want to ask you, in the minute that remains, as we look to wrap things up, based on your conversation with the minister, the trade ministry and their technocrats, based on the momentum, based on some of the proposals and the fact that they're looking at them and there seems to be a momentum, do you anticipate this mid-year budget review as it pertains to the artisans, artists, to the orange economy as a gain or strain?
No, it should definitely be a gain. As I said, there was very significant projects have been adopted coming out from our presentations. Things that we've battled for like 30-something years, as I said, are actually on the agenda. So we will see. And there's a schedule. There are all kinds of things. We went into, there's a lot of detail. They asked for the detail and we gave them a lot of detail.
Excellent.
In terms of rollout and those kinds of things and that kind of stuff. So we're optimistic. But, as I said, it's always a wait and see.
Of course.
But,
I guess the good thing is when we touch base again, we'll get a chance to elaborate some more and you let me know what strides would have been made.
We require a follow-up and stuff to see how much these things bear fruit.
Well, Victor, as always, sincere thanks for coming on, man. Have yourself a great day and a great week ahead. And thanks for touching base.
Thanks for having me, man.
That's right. President of the coalition, the Artist Coalition of Trinidad and Tobago, Victor, touching base with us on this Monday morning. So what's going to happen? I'm going to check in with my colleague there in Tobago, Williams, my namesake. No relation, but just my namesake. He represents the Tobago arm of the Chamber of Industry and Commerce. And after that conversation, I will give you today's schedule of World Cup games before we officially wrap things up at 8 o'clock. Let's head to Tobago next.
What if we each took one small action today that could have big impact tomorrow? What if one family took a stance to reduce waste in our landfills? What if one school made a choice that can lead to a greener Trinidad and Tobago? When you recycle glass, you create jobs, reduce waste, save resources, and help preserve our environment. Glass bottles and jars are 100% recyclable and can be reused indefinitely. Recycle your glass and join the Glass Loop movement today.
The detergent smells nice while washing, but when you use the new Downy Intense fabric softener, with its new multi-capsule fragrance, it releases an intense scent that lasts twice as long. With the new Downy Intense, you'll enjoy a rich and delightful fragrance that keeps you feeling fresh 24/7.
succeed with Rand Credit Union. You can believe that you can achieve. Big goals, small ones too. Rand Credit Union, we've got you. No more waiting, that won't do. Make someday today. One life, so make it good. Live the way you know you should. With Rand Credit Union, yes you could. Make someday today.
Live your best life today with Rand Credit Union.
As promised, Curtis Williams, he joins me on the Zoom line, president of the Tobago division of the Chamber of Industry and Commerce. Curtis, it was always great to see you. I know you speak, as they say, Franco-man. You speak you're connected on the ground there. You know what's happening on the sister isle. And as always, I want to thank you for coming on. I look forward to your counsel this morning. Welcome.
Jason, thanks for having me. I just want to say hi to Trinidad and Tobago, and thanks for having me as well, too.
Based on this mid-year budget review and what's already in the public domain and some of the utterances from the finance minister and others, do you anticipate a gain or strain for this mid-year budget review, as it pertains especially to our brothers and sisters in business there in Tobago?
Jason, as we heard last week, there was some plus to give to Tobago. Just maybe two pluses big played out. One is the funding for the Scarborough Secondary School that was dilapidated. I mean, it's fallen into the sea, and we see that they will start some sort of funding to start the construction in terms of the design and all that good stuff for the Scarborough Secondary School.
President Williams, you said what? The school is falling into the ocean, into the sea? That's for real?
The sea is taking the land. The land is falling in at the coastal erosion in Scarborough. I've been to that secondary school, and while we're in school, we used to see cracks every morning. We've seen a new crack. And the whole school is falling. Yeah, the coastal erosion is taking away this entire school. So I think now, sooner or later, OSHA will definitely do something and probably will have to close the school. So it's really important that we start the construction of that new school so that the students and teachers and others could be really safe.
And as you said, and as we would have heard too, there is now the allocation for that to take place. I would imagine that should start while school is out, July, August?
Yes, the soil was turned for that building way back, I think about 2 years now in Bacalet, and nothing has been done meaningfully more than the ceremony. The sign is up for the last couple of months, went into years, and nothing meaningful has been done on this site. So I'm happy to hear that there's some funding that will be coming towards that, because building that school, it will take a good bit of funding, and the government have to put aside such funding, and I don't think the THA have that money in their caps to do that. So that was kind of good. Also, I heard that some of these state enterprises, like WASA and so forth, will be getting extra funding to meet the day-to-day commitment. And I think I was happy to hear that because we have been longing for funding, especially for some of the state enterprises. Our members have been owed, and we are happy to hear that there's some funding will be coming in so that they could settle some of those outstanding bills that our members have, especially with WASA. Yesterday, I think there was this operational handover of the airport, the terminal building.
Yeah, and I'm seeing it's fully certified from what I'm seeing on The Guardian, page 5.
That's correct, and that augurs well for us. It meant now that Airport Authority now can move in. I heard that the THA is paying with the Airport Authority to outfit the interior of the airport, because it's a shell. So the THA is paying with the Airport Authority to outfit that. So I'm looking forward to that. I knew that they were asking for some funding. I don't know if the funds will go directly to the Airport Authority or will go to the THA to assist in that process. But we need to get that terminal building up and running, Jason, for summer. If not summer, Tobago can, at least for Tobago Carnival. For October, we need to move into that building, if not before.
Let me ask you, President Williams, and I want us to just take a little moment, let's spend a moment on the airport. Who's going to get first preference or favorable, I would say, that choice as it pertains to the concession stands? Because I'm hoping that Tobago businesses and Tobago interests and Tobago restaurants and stuff
would get the first dib, would get the first option to set up shop, as it were, inside the said airport, because this airport again is in Tobago. What's the conversation like as it pertains to that bidding process? What you're hearing in that regard?
Jason, we have been lobbying for that for quite some time. We spoke to the airport authority to have a short meeting with us about that same concessionary and how the whole process is going to do. I think it's the second or the third time they're going to do it over again. It seemed like they've done it before and it probably wasn't done properly. So now they're doing it again. And I really hope that some of the present vendors there, the local vendors, that they have the opportunity to have first bite at the cherry. When we look at if you go onto their website, there was sketches and price point that they were showing. With those sketches and price point, it will be very difficult for Tobago-based business to get some of these booths because it might be out of your budgeting or out of your reach. Knowing, Jason, that when that airport is open, the traffic that will be moving through the airport will not be as traffic as will move through like Piaco. So it meant that if you spend over $2 or $3 million outfitting your store or whatever your concessionary area, it will take a while for you to recover on that investment. So hence the reason why we wanted to have the conversation with the airport authority to indicate to them, and if you have local content, at least you have to give them some kind of moratorium or something, or some reduced rent initially. And as time goes by, you could now move the rent to where it ought to be. Because initially, it will be very difficult, based on the foot traffic that passed through the airport today, for you to be operating, especially in the duty-free areas, and making some sort of turnover.
Yeah, I wanted to just get that clarity. So basically, from what you're saying to me, a couple of gains based on this mid-year budget review for Tobago.
Definitely, we see that gains coming in. They only focus on some things that we were concerned about is the access to Forex. We still didn't hear anything much about access to Forex. And there was this thing bantering around of making parts of Tobago duty-free zone. Those are things that we were still trying to hear some word about it. Even emphasis on tourism to segue from oil and gas. Because, Tobago, in its fragile state, we were asking for marketing and strategic marketing. So when we go out there to market Trinidad and Tobago, we do it in a strategic way and not just go out there and just talk. We must know exactly what we're going to focus on and really go out there trying to get that product into the island, especially for Tobago, direct airlift coming into Tobago. And then we now marry all of that coming into beds and having spaces in Tobago. We're talking about proper accommodation, 4-5-star accommodation, and hence the reason why we spoke about Marriott and the gains that Marriott will have, by the gains that Tobago will get from having a Marriott here. And we look forward to Marriott in a big way, Jason.
Well, let me ask you, President Williams, because, we can market, we can put the biggest billboard in Times Square, we can put all the ads in all the major magazines in the UK, but we have ourselves a state of emergency until September. What does that state of emergency do to the tourism product and do to the tourists thinking about Tobago as an option? This is the reality we are in. Walk me through what that state of emergency is doing to the sector in Tobago.
Well, we expect this extension that they have, it will be just for 3 months to treat with whatever issue that was mentioned throughout the debate. We know it's not a nice thing for tourism and Tobago with the state of emergency, because a lot of guests do ask the question, what's really happening in the country when they do look up and look at Trinidad and Tobago and they see a state of emergency. We know in Tobago that we don't have as much activities and criminal activities as compared to Trinidad, but again, the country is Trinidad and Tobago. So when a guest is looking for a place of vacation, they always look up Trinidad and Tobago. I don't think they separate Tobago in any big way. So it's an important thing that the state of emergency, the 3 months extension pass, and we look forward to this summer because we're going into winter. As soon as the end of that state of emergency, we'll be going straight into winter. And we hope that the government come and bring a comprehensive crime strategy to treat with crime and don't use the state of emergency as a weapon. We cannot take another state of emergency. It will just put us in a real crippling situation, Jason.
In the seconds that remain, literally about 15 or 20 seconds, any closing remarks, President Williams?
I just want to see that the government must understand how important tourism is to Tobago. And when we're talking about tourism in a holistic manner. And it's important also for Tobagonians to understand the ripple effect of having a new plant like Marriott on the island and what Marriott could really bring to the island. And it would just start the whole ball, the game changer would be there, and it will start the whole ball rolling. We see the triple effect of Marriott here. It will benefit every single soul on the island. We're talking about employment, we're talking about the farmers, we're talking about the fishermen, we're talking about even the construction sector. Jason, it will benefit us a lot in Tobago. So we're waiting for Marriott. We can't wait for them to turn the soil and get things happening in Tobago.
President Curtis Williams, always a pleasure. We'll touch base soon.
Thank you, Jason.
President of the Tobago Division of the Chamber of Industry and Commerce. We take that pause and officially pull the curtains down right after these.
You shop it, you stock it, now it's time to own it. Introducing the West Indian Traders Limited Initial Public Offering. Your opportunity to become a shareholder in the company that delivers the brands you know and love. Offer extended to June 22nd, 2026. And your minimum investment is only $100. Visit goipo.jncb.com to review the prospectus and apply today. The lead broker and arranger is NCB Merchant Bank Trinidad and Tobago Limited. Conditions apply.
Magical Expressions Limited is the largest local importer and distributor of fresh cut stems, offering the widest range of beautiful flowers at the most affordable prices. Call us today at 701-6488 or visit our website to order.
Period nights don't have to look like this. Move less, wake up to change. So change for a real night's sleep with Always Overnight. Its 3 times protection system absorbs, locks the fluid, and keeps it away from your skin. For protected nights without leaks. Always.
At Cruise Inn Hotel and Yachting Center, we're all about time. In fact, once you check in, there's no time to lose. Reconnect with a little family time. Make a splash with some pool time. Spend some treasured quality time, or just immerse yourself in some quiet time. Indulge your senses at dinner time. We even have the perfect venue when it's your celebration time. So it's high time you visit Cruise Inn. Choose our day pass or call 607-4000 to make your dinner or hotel reservations or to find out more about our event spaces. Take a time out at Cruise Inn Hotel and Yachting Center.
Before we get back to the mid-year budget review, let's remind you that it is World Cup action. It continues today. Spain versus Cape Verde. That's happening in Atlanta from 12 noon, Trinidad and Tobago time. Belgium versus Egypt. That game is in Seattle at 3 p.m. 6 p.m. we head to Miami for Saudi Arabia against Uruguay. That promises to be a spectacle. And the final game today for the 15th, Monday the 15th, Inglewood, California, West Coast, where Iran, who's currently, well, you know what's going on with Iran and the U.S. No need to remind anyone. That one is very interesting. The Iranian team is staying in Mexico. They're going to head across, play the game, and as the game is over, head back over the border to Mexico. So Iran is coming up against New Zealand. And that one, a very interesting game later on for the World Cup. Tonight from 7:30. That's right. Ryan steps in. Gain or strain, the budget review, and his panel will include the likes of Diane Haddad, businesswoman, Dr. Ronald Ramkisoon, economist, Dr. Jamelia Harris, also an economist, and an energy specialist by the name of Gregory Maguire. Great conversation ahead with Ryan from 7:30 p.m., right after the shortened 7 p.m. newscast. Tomorrow, God's spray, I'm back for more. Let's have ourselves a great one, a productive one. Today, Gain or strain all day on CNC3 Mid-Year Budget Review.